Now the tools that I'll be using, this is my Master Touch wax pen, and I have the finest tip that they make on this wax pen. I don't know if any of you have it, but this is the 22 gauge Master Touch pen that I use. The next thing I want to show you is, this is my pair of dividers. This is a fine tip set of dividers. I also use a millimeter gauge for this if I want everything to be a consistent spacing or size. So the first thing I'd like to show you how to do is, you want to take your dividers along the flat side of your wax sample and just scribe a line. And then if you want to measure how big you want these wax beads to be, you just use your dividers and go over top of each line, and that'll give you even spacing for each bead that you want to make. Now you can make the beads on this top surface, or you can make them right on the edge of your wax. It depends on the design. Now these are going to be fairly large beads. What I've marked off is a 1.7 millimeter wide, about 1.5 to 1.7 millimeter wide area. Now of course we can go over top of that area. So I have my wax pen, as I showed you in the pictures that I inserted. I have my wax pen attached to a foot pedal because that gives me much more temperature control. I have my wax pen set at number 4 right now, so it's 0 through 10. This is red injection wax because it melts very easily and it's very tacky and it flows a lot faster than carving wax. So I'm going to press down on my foot pedal that heats up my wax pen tip, and I'm going to pick up some wax. Hopefully you can see it's starting to melt and pull up. So there's a pool of wax. Now I let go of my foot pedal because I want to cool this down a little bit, and I want to find the area where I want to lay the bead of wax on. So I'm pressing down on my foot pedal again. See, that enables me to have both of my hands free. So I'm just going to pull up that bead of wax in that area, lift up the pen, and there it is. Now, if we want to make it bigger, I press down on the foot pedal, pull in more wax, bring it over to that bead, and just lay it on in that area. Now I'm moving very slowly. See what a nice sized bead you can get on there? It's really nice. If you don't like the shape, you can just take your wax pen, heat it up, and kind of go around and smooth it off. Okay? So I'll do it again. And you can get these as close or as far apart as you want. So I pulled more wax onto my pen, bring it over, and just lay it in that space. So that one's a little bigger. If I want it smaller, I can take a little off. See how I just took a little off of there, get rid of it, heat it up again. There. So you can add wax and subtract wax. The other thing that's nice about doing this pattern, let's say you want to do a strip of beads and add it to another piece of wax. What you can do is take your graver. This is a graver. It's not an engraver, it's a graver. And it's used by bringing your thumbs together and pushing. So you brace your thumbs, and this is how you use it on metal as well. So I'm just going to follow this line on the outside just like that. Okay, and that'll show me where I need to cut this strip of wax beads apart. So it releases the beads. Oops, fell on my brush. It releases the beads if you want to attach them individually. Now, you don't have to do that, it's just an idea. Or you could take your wax tool and transfer them like that. So this is carving wax. This is injection wax. So if you want to do this on the very edge, these are my large dividers, these are my small dividers. If we want to do this on the very edge of the wax, this is a nice trick to know too. So I just scribed a line on both sides. Now if we want to do larger beads, let's divide this up again. So I'll divide it on this side, and then I'll continue those lines on this side. So this time what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create beads just from the wax that's here on the carving wax. So I want to clean up and see where everything is. And I'm going to turn my temperature up a little bit on my wax pen to about 5.5. Now I want to clean off all the old wax, so I'm going to heat this up till it's cherry red and see how it all cleans off. Now your wax pen is ready to work on carving wax. So we're going down to about 5.5 on the heat. Press my pedal down, and I have these on the edge, and I'm just going to ball up that wax right inside that measured area. And I'll ball it up here. And I'm just doing this quickly, just so you can see a technique that you can use if you want to try something different. So I've just balled up those little sectioned areas. Okay? And you can just play around with it to see what you like, what you don't like. So you want to experiment with the heat, the setting on your wax pen, your foot pedal, and different size wax pen tips. Now I'll show you what a larger one looks like. This is the next size up. So we have this gauge and this gauge. So you can make teeny tiny little beads. I'll show you what a really small bead looks like. This is kind of tough because I'm going to do it without measuring and marking, but I want you to see what it looks like to make a really tiny bead. So I'll make a bead on top of this. See that? I mean, that is really, really tiny. So if you're setting up a wax for someone to set micro pave, and you want to give them a hand, you can just set the beads in there for them. Just to give you an idea of scale, I'm going to take my millimeter gauge here. I don't know if I can get a measurement on there, and it is a 1/2 millimeter bead. 1/2 mil. So that's what I advise, is just working with your different size wax tip pens and different kinds of carving wax and injection wax. Just lay out a pattern and see what works before you actually go to the piece of jewelry or the wax model that you're creating that you're going to cast.